So TJ, tell us what happened last video.
I made a mistake. Steak. I was thinking about steak, and when I was singing the song last week, I said, what did I say?
What did you say?
Sungry hole.
Sungry hole.
Sungry holes in the feed.
Hungry hole to feed. It's really not that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was just hungry, but everyone's been teasing me, everybody. So if you make a mistake, it's okay.
That's a life lesson.
That's the gospel.
And that's a sermon.
Y'all. Welcome to This is Kingdom.
This is Grace.
This is Talon.
This is TJ.
And this week, y'all, I'm taking it, Grace. We will be talking about the talk called Finding Personal Peace by President Henry B. Eyring. TJ, take it away, my man.
Okay, so this is what's been on my mind with this. Is that the times, I'm just thinking of like seminary students I've had. I'm thinking of times in my life when, and I want you guys to think about this, like when was a time when you're just feeling like off? You know what I mean? Like when was a time in your life when you're just in a funk and when you're just not feeling it? And it's crazy because I feel like sometimes we get in those funks and we get in those periods of time from something that we did. And sometimes it's not from something we did, like sometimes it's from something that someone else did. Or sometimes it's just a life circumstance. And so what I want to talk about today, what I want us to talk about is this controversial topic, like what do you do in those situations, like when you're looking for peace?
Can I just say, though, I think the most frustrating one is when you're feeling off and you don't even know why you're feeling off. It's almost better when it's like, oh, I'm feeling off because of this reason. You know, like, oh, this thing happened. But it's the worst when it's like, I'm off and I have no idea why. That's when I feel like something's wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's this level of like, for me, I feel like the quickest way in my head that I lose peace is actually when I lose control. Like, that's what stresses me out. So like this week, for instance, I had the busiest week. So busy. Like every single second there was something. And what started to happen is I would wake up, I would get ready for work, and then I would come home and I would change, and then I would go to the next activity, and then I would come home and I would change and I'd go to the next activity, but I didn't have time to like pick up my clothes or do anything with them. So my room became a disaster. Like yesterday, like it was like game over. Like it was so
Talent's not about
bad.
that life.
And I'm usually not either. Like usually I have such a clean room, but like this week, like I just like didn't have time to fix it. And by the time I got home, I was like, I have to go to sleep right this second. I'm so tired. So like I was like, I can't fix it. Like I just had to go to bed. And then I would wake up and it would be the same thing over and over and over again. And finally, like I like got home today in between activities again. And I was like, I can't survive like this anymore because I'm feeling more chaotic when my room is messy. So like I was like, you know what? I am going to put away, like I was like, I have 18 other things to do right now. I just have to do my room. Like I have to clean my room. Like I think that there's like, that's something stupid. That's like a stupid way to find peace. But I really did, like in my head, I was like, I do have to clean my room. And that's making me feel peace. And I think sometimes it's just like little tiny things lead us there. You know, like we get caught up. Like, I don't know what the problem is. Like, let me try to find this big, deep rooted problem. And I'm like, well, what if I just clean my room first?
Dude, that's actually so deep. Like the shallow level of that is so cool. Like clean your room, but it's actually so deep. I actually experienced a very similar thing at work. We have like this basement, like storage unit, and it is like the messiest place you've ever been. I call it the dungeon because it's just such a mess, and you go down there and you hate life. And this week we just like cleaned out everything. We threw a ton of stuff away. We donated a ton of stuff. Like, and you go down there now and it looks so good. I found something that I lost 2 years ago down there. And it was my dad's. And so now
I thought you said it was your dad. I was like, whoa.
My dad was lost in the dungeon, y'all, but I found it. No, I lost something that was my dad's and I could return it to him. But I like felt so much more at peace knowing that this basement was organized. And it's weird because it's not like I was always looking at the basement, right? But like whenever I go down there, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. And I think sometimes if there's like a messy thing in our life, whether that's like a relationship or whether that's like how we're doing with something in our life, you gotta clean that up. Because even if it's not in your face at all times, it's like in the back of your head. You know that it's there. And I think every time that I'm not feeling peace, like there's a relationship I need to clean up, or there's like something that I'm doing that I actually know that I could clean up. And so I love your example. Yeah, sometimes it is physical things, but man, like if you're not feeling peace right now, like it might be really, really useful to take a second and just evaluate, like, what do I need to clean up in my life?
That's so cool. And as you're sharing that, Talon, I'm like so proud of my seminary students right now, because one of our get to know you questions the other day was like, what to do when your day's like feeling off. And I thought they were gonna be like, because this would be my first thought is like play some video games or like watch TV, like numb the pain, you know what I mean, or like distract yourself. But they're like, they brought up things like clean your room or like be productive or like go on a walk or just get a few things done. And that was so cool to me. And something that my wife Lo has pointed out, well, it was from like a book or email or something, some self-improvement thing. But she was saying that there was a quote that was like, there's very few problems that can't be like solved or began to be solved once you're like get your workout on and like get some food and like drink some water, like just getting moving in those physical ways. And I know that's not super spiritual, but anyway, maybe
it's spiritual for
someone
TJ.
need to hear that. But another thought that I need to share is one time I was on my mission and I was just feeling super off, and I told my mission president about it, and it was just like a couple days when I was just really, feeling off about the work and even my studies and with my companion and everything. And something he told me like changed my perspective forever and has helped me like have way more patience with those off times. And he said, sometimes the Lord, and this is actually what President Eyring, which is crazy because he's the one that did this talk. President Eyring told him in his interview to become a mission president that sometimes you're going to be feeling off and it's because you're under construction. And that was like so helpful for me to hear that advice from my mission president, from President Eyring, that there's going to be times in our life when we don't really understand why and we don't understand how, but the Lord has us under construction. He's like moving things. He's like, there's like a jackhammer over here, like things getting twisted and put into place and ordered. And I feel like there's just times in our life where like spiritually we're like under construction. And we don't know why, but like later we'll be able to look back and be like, that's why.
I love that because now every time I feel off, I'm gonna get hyped. I'm be like, yo,
what's he doing?
Like.
Well, and it's cool because when you were talking, like I kept thinking of the same thing. And it's like the idea that like when your room is messy, it like eats at you and you want to pretend like it's not.
Yes,
you know what
I've
I'm
been
saying?
thinking the same thing.
You're like, no, it's not that big of a deal. Like I'm just gonna go to bed. It's not that big of a deal that my room's messy. Like it's not a big thing and I don't care about it. But then what happens 2 minutes after you start cleaning your room? And first of all, it takes a decade to start cleaning your room. It took me all week to be like, no, I gotta clean my room. And I was like, nah. It like takes so long to start. But 2 minutes after you start cleaning your room, how do you feel? You feel like a freaking champ.
It's contagious.
Yeah,
and you like
feel
cleaning the
so
kitchen,
good.
you clean everything, clean
Yeah.
your shoes.
I have like this cleaning mode thing. Once I start cleaning, I can't stop. And she'll see me like scrubbing the floor. She's like, you're in cleaning mode, aren't you? I'm like, yep. But I think what's so interesting is when there's like the mess in our life, whether that's physical or spiritual or mental, I think sometimes in our mind, we're like the best thing to do is just avoid it.
Yep.
And the more you avoid it, the more it grows. Like avoiding it does not fix it, and it will not bring you peace.
And you think it's gonna be hard. That's what I think it is for me.
Yeah.
Is that I'm like, oh no, like that seems so hard to clean my room right now. Or that seems so hard to repent right now. Or that seems so hard to have that tough conversation with that crappy relationship. Like that seems super hard. So then I just wait and wait and wait and wait. And this is the thing. That's why it's so, like I'm so hyped right now is because listen, after 2 minutes, you feel so much better. Like you have, it's like that. We bought a zoo quote. Like you just gotta have 20 seconds
Isn't
of
that
like
such a good
insane
quote?
courage. Yeah. If you just have 20 seconds of insane courage, like think about the peace that will come after. Like, yeah, maybe it's building up in your head and you're like, this is so hard. Like, I don't want to do that. Like my life is fine if I'm not doing that. But wait, but what if you did?
Man, as you're sharing this, I'm thinking of this experience I just had with this student. And I wouldn't do this, for everyone. And I wouldn't, I've had times in my life when I needed this push, and I know he's one of my boys, and so I just know. But we were talking, and he's like, "Man, I really need to go in to talk to my bishop," and I'm like, "Yeah, brother." And but he's so scared, right? Because that fear of like, I don't want to. And what if he wants to tell my parents? And what if he's judging me and this and that? And man, but we just got so hyped about forgiveness and about the healing that he'll be able to experience and the burden lifted. And I was sharing how I needed that in my life. And I'm like, hey, write that text right now, bro. Yeah. And he wrote the text, dude.
It's so
but
good.
it was so funny because he wrote the text, but he didn't send it. So then a few days went by and we talked again and got hyped up again. And then by that point, he had built up the courage, maybe like your quote. And he was like, dude, I had it written up and everything, but I didn't send it. I'm like, send it, dude. And he sent it. And then the next class period, he just comes in so hyped, man. He's like, dude, I talked to my bishop, like this and that and this. And we're just so happy. And anyway, I just had to share that experience, just like, especially for those of us who need to repent or need to have the tough conversation, like, man, there is it seems scary, it seems tough, it seems like a big barrier, but man, there is some peace and some forgiveness and some healing and some joy that is waiting for you, as you take that step.
Yeah, this is my last thought, but like just talking about this, the only words in my head is like attack the mess. Whatever it is, whatever the mess is in your life, attack it. And on the other side of that, you're going to find peace.
The peace is worth the hard, like, first 2 minutes. Like, it just simply is, And you're building it up to be so much harder and so much more of a big deal than it actually is in reality. Just start cleaning up the mess. Like, you want peace, like your soul is craving that. Just start.
Your soul is craving it, and once you find that peace, like, you're able to offer your best self to all these life situations that you're having to go through. You know what I mean? Like, so much more peace to take to that dating energy and the career energy and the scriptures and everything. Anyway,
Clean up the mess.
I'm hyped about this, man. I want to go attack the mess now. All right. I'm gonna try to sing all the right words this time. There is an hour of peace and rest, unmarred by earthly care. 'Tis when before the Lord I go and kneel in secret prayer. May my heart be turned to pray in secret day by day, that this boon to mortals give may unite my soul with heaven.
See you next week.